Welcome to the channel. Codex Chaos Space Marines has received an update, and in this video we're going to take a look exclusively at those changes. Now, I'm sure that many listeners have their fingers on the pulse of what's happening in the community, but for those that don't know, here's a quick rundown. 8th edition was released in June 2017. Codex Chaos Space Marines was one of the first codexes released in 2017 in August. And since then, it has received updates to the points values in Chapter Approved 2017-2018, updates to a couple of datasheets in Chapter Approved 2018, and a new datasheets in the Vigilus 1 and 2 books, and new datasheets in the Shadowspear box set. Long story short, it's a bit of a mess, and it's hard for people to keep up. So, GW have reskinned Codex Chaos Space Marines and shoved it all together in one book. And this is the book. It's up for pre-order on Saturday the 23rd of March, and you can buy it from Saturday the 30th of March. But if you have copies of all those supplements and releases I just mentioned, you don't need it because this book contains very little that is new. The narrative is the same. The Legion traits, stratagems, and relics are the same. All this book does is draw everything together under one flesh, one blown, one true religion, one voice, one hope, one real decision. Woo, woo, ow. And it has the updated points values as well. So, what I'm going to do in this video is talk about the new bits I've not talked about before. If you want a review of Codex Chaos Space Marines, then there's a link below. If you want a review of the Daemonkin units from Shadowspear that are also now in this book, then there's a link to the Daemonkin Codex preview video below. What I'm going to do is talk about the units and rules that are new and are now in this book and their points. Basically the new stuff. I'm going to talk about the new stuff. Personally, I think it's great to have it all under one hood. It was getting messy. So there's a bunch of new HQs in here. We're going to start off with Abaddon the Spoiler. He's not new, updated. A bunch of new or updated HQs in here. He's 240 points. He's got an extra strength. He's got an extra wound. Now he's up to 8 wounds. And I'm not entirely familiar with Codex Chaos Space Marine, so I'll quickly run through his rules. But 8 wounds, 2 up save. He can teleport in. You can reroll hit rolls for friendly Black Legion units while they're within 6 inches of him. And any friendly Heretic Star units automatically pass morale tests while they're within 12 inches of him. So nice 6-inch bubble, nice 12-inch bubble. He's got a 4+ invulnerable save, and all damage suffered by Abaddon the Spoiler is halved, rounding up, and you get 2 additional command points just for fielding this bad boy. Harken World Claimer is in here as well. He's from Vigilus 1. He's the jump pack dude. He's like a mini smash captain at 115 points. He hits on 2s with his 5 attacks. With a Hel Spear, which is +1 strength, -3 AP and D3 damage, or he can use his Lightning Claw and reroll all failed wound rolls at strength 4, -2, 1 damage. You can reroll all hit rolls for attacks made by melee weapons with Raptors within 6 inches of this model. That's Lord of Raptors. He has a 4-up invulnerable save as well as his 3-up save. Herald of the Apocalypse. Enemy units within 18 inches of this model must subtract 1 from their leadership characteristics. Because he's a Raptor, you can drop him in Deep Strike Reserve and just drop him 9 inches away from the battlefield. And he's also got Head Claimer. Every time he kills a character, you can add 1 to his attacks characteristics. So if he kills a character, he gets up to 6 attacks. Kills 2 characteristics, he gets up to 7 attacks. So 115 points for a mini smash captain with 5 attacks is very reasonable, considering he also has those buffs to other Raptors around him. So yep, that's Harken. Should be noted that the Master of Possession from the Shadowspear box set is in here. The datasheet is unchanged. The points are unchanged, 98 points. The Master of Possession is the only dude who can take psychic powers from the Malefic Discipline, which is in this book as well. Your Chaos Sorcerers and Terminator Armor still take their powers from the Dark Hereticus Discipline. So you're probably going to want to bring a Master of Possession along as well as a Sorcerer if you're going down the Psychic route, just to unlock both of the psychic disciplines. Both of them are here, the Dark Hereticus and the Malefic. Master of Possession, access to the Malefic. Sorcerers, access to the Dark Hereticus disciplines. Demon Princes, Huron Blackheart, people like that still take it from the Dark Hereticus discipline. So Master of Possession, only 1 with the Malefic. Right, bang that drum enough. Let's go on to the Lord Discordant on Hel Stalker. This guy's a beast. 150 points without any upgrades. The cheapest you can get him is with the autocannon, gets him to 160 points, that's 10 points. Or you can take a Magma Cutter and get him to 166 points, or you can take it with a Bale Flamer, which gets it all the way up to 180 points. Bale Flamer is probably the best choice because at 18-inch range and an Assault D6 auto hitting, Flamer, strength 6, -2, 2 damage, is probably the best choice. And at 180 points, he's still a beast. He's still very cheap. 160 though is the cheapest. He's got a weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2 up, strength 4, toughness 6, 12 wound character. He's got the Legion and Demon Engine keywords. So at 12 wound character, he can be targeted, but at toughness 6 with 12 wounds, he'll take a bit to take him out, with a 2-up save as well, and a 5-up invulnerable save as well. So it'll take you quite a bit of punch to take this guy out. And he can heal. He's got Infernal Regeneration. He heals a wound at the beginning of every turn, and he's got the Spirit Thief ability. So every time he kills a vehicle in the fight phase, he can heal D3 wounds on himself, or he could put D3 wounds back on a demon engine that can't fly within 3 inches of himself. Spirit Thief ability applies to himself. Or instead of putting D3 wounds on yourself or D3 wounds on a vehicle within 3 inches of yourself, you can pick an enemy vehicle within 12 inches of you and roll a 2-up, and if you get that 2-up, then that enemy vehicle suffers D3 mortal wounds. He's also got the Aura of Discord ability, which is very nice and buffs friendly Legion demon engines and increases their hit rolls for attacks by 1 within 6 inches of him. That'll be hitting in the shooting phase, hitting in the fighting phase. So your Venom Crawlers, Forge Fiends, Mauler Fiends, things like that. The Forge World ones, the Dreadnoughts that everyone likes to bring, the Hellforge thingy bobs, they'll also get that +1 to hit rolls for attacks, so long as they have the Legion and Demon Engine keywords within 6 inches of this guy. And for 160 points with the auto cannon, that's a very nice aura ability. So that's what he does. He buffs stuff around you, or he can heal himself or hurt other vehicles so long as he kills vehicles in close combat. But what else can he do? Well, he's an absolute baller. This guy always hits on 2s, and he's always got many attacks. His what happens is his movement characteristics drops from 12 to 9 to 6 when he gets injured, still hitting on 2s, and the additional attacks that the Hel Stalker, the spider mount that he's on, the crabby thing that he's on, drop from 5, 4 to 3 attacks. But it says 5, 4, 3, but he gets an additional attack on that as well, the crabby thing. It's 5 + 1 or 4 + 1 or 3 + 1. So when this guy goes charging in, he hits at strength 8 -2, 2 damage a time. With his Impaler Chainglaive. If he's already locked up in Assault, if he hasn't charged or performed a heroic intervention, say he's been charged or it's round 2 of combat, then he's hitting at strength 6 -2, 2 damage. The Impaler Chainglaive basically is +2 -2, 2. But when he charges, it goes to strength 8 -2, 2. 4 attacks, hitting on 2s. Nice. And he always does 2 additional attacks with his Mecha Tendrils. It's something like that. And each time the bearer fights, it can make 2 additional attacks with this weapon, which is strength user, AP 0, 1 damage. So strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. For those clearing horde things, so if there's a bunch of orcs around him or hordy things around him, he's pretty good at clearing them away. So base 6 attacks. Then after you've done that, the Hel Stalker crabby thing that he's riding around on fights. And as I said, at full strength, at full wounds, he'll do 5 + 1 attack, and then 4 + 1 attack, and then 3 + 1 attack. So what happens is the bladed limbs and tails fight. And then that's at strength 7 -2 D3 damage, which is pretty good, but you also make a single attack using the Technovirus Injector in addition to his bladed limbs and tail. So the bladed limbs and tail, that's the strength 7 -2 D3 damage, but the Technovirus Injector is +4 strength, so strength 8 -4 AP D3 damage. And each time a wound roll for an attack made with this weapon is successful when targeting a vehicle, that vehicle suffers D3 mortal wounds in addition to any of the normal damage. This means that the Lord Discordant himself does a base 6 attacks when it's on full health, when he's on full health, and 4 of them are at a strength 6 or strength 8, and 2 of them just strength 4. And the mount that he's on does a base 6 attacks when it's on full health. So this guy chucks out 12 attacks. 5 of those attacks at strength 7 minus 2 d3, and 1 of the attacks at strength 8 minus 4 d3. And if it's wounding a vehicle, you also do d3 mortal wounds, which is nice. Very, very punchy guy. Oh, should also mention the Aura of Discord, the one that adds 1 to hit rolls for attacks by Legion demon engines while they're within 6 inches of him. Also forces enemy vehicles while they're within 6 inches of him for -1 hit rolls for attacks. So if he's within 6 inches of dreadnoughts that are coming at him, or Imperial Knights, say him and his Maulafine buddies are going after Imperial Knights, those Imperial Knights within 6 inches of him are -1 to hit rolls for their attacks, because they have the vehicle keyword, and that'll be -1 to their shooting and -1 to their punching. So this unit actually sits in a weird place compared to other units. Originally you might look at him as a really punchy dreadnought, but at toughness 6 he's weaker than the dreadnought. But at 12 wounds with a 2-up save, he's a lot more resilient than a dreadnought, and with 12 attacks when he goes wheeling in there, and with his aura abilities to nerf enemy vehicles and buff enemy friendly demon engines around him, and like I say, 160 points with the autocannon, 180 points with the Baleflamer, it's a steal. And he's a HQ, so you could bring a couple of them along. And the model looks really, really cool. There's another new HQ called a Master of Executions, or he might be available in other sources, but I haven't seen him before. This guy's got 5 attacks and strength 4, toughness 4, 4 wounds, 5 attacks with a 3-up save. He doesn't seem to have an invulnerable save, however, but he is a character, and he has got a weapon skill of 2-up with his 5 attacks. And he's got an Axe of Dismemberment, which is strength times 2. So this guy is hitting at strength 8, -3, d3 damage. It's basically a power fist, which is not unwieldy. With 5 attacks, each time you make a wound roll of 6 for this weapon, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any other damage. And with Death to the False Emperor, with those 5 attacks at strength 8, he's a bit of a beast. He's a trophy taker. Once per fight phase, you can re-roll 1 hit roll, one hit roll, wound roll, or damage roll for an attack made by this model that targets a character. So when he's taking on characters, he gets a bit more tasty. He's also got Warp-Sighted Butcher. After the enemy has completed all of their charge moves, this model can perform a heroic intervention if it's within 3 inches of any enemy models, or 6 inches of any enemy characters. If this model is within 6 inches of any enemy characters, it can move up to 6 when performing a heroic intervention instead of 3 inches, so long as it finishes this move within 1 inch of the nearest enemy character. Basically, the Master of Executions is a 5 attack, 4 wound, toughness 4, non-invulnerable save dude who's great at taking out characters. He's got a bolt pistol, frag and crack grenades, and at 70 points, he's a bit of a steal. The Dark Apostle has changed a little bit. He's worth 100 points with his accursed Crozius. He has a Signal of Corruption, 4-up invulnerable save, and he's a Demigog. Friendly Legion units within 6 inches of this model in the morale phase can use this model's leadership instead of their own. Those are his rules: Death to the False Emperor, Sigil of Corruption, and Demigog. However, he's got this new ability. This model can chant prayers. It knows the Dark Zealotry prayer below and 1 prayer from the prayers to the Dark Gods. At the start of each battle round, you can pick one of the prayers this model knows and roll a d6, and on a 3-up, the prayer is heard. So he's got 2 prayers, and you need to roll a 3-up to get one of these off, and you can do it once per battle round. That prayer takes effect until the end of that battle round. The same prayer cannot be chanted more than once per battle round by any model in your army, whether it's heard or not. So if you bring 4 Dark Apostles, all 4 of them can't do the same prayer, because the same prayer cannot be chanted more than once per battle round by any model in your army. So if you brought a couple of them, one of them could do one prayer, another one could do another prayer for that battle round. And then when it's the opponent's battle round, if they're still locked in combat, you need to pray again. You need to get that 3 up, which can be modified. We'll talk about it in a second. Dark Zealotry is his standard prayer. If this prayer is heard, you can re-roll hit rolls in the fight phase for attacks made by friendly Legion units while they're within 6 inches of this priest. He basically turns into an Astartes chaplain. Now, the way to buff this guy is to give him a couple of Dark Disciples to run around with, and Dark Disciples come in units of 2, and they're 5 points each. So 2 Dark Disciples, 10 points. They're toughness 3, strength 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, 5 up save. They haven't got any sort of weapons, just a close combat weapon. These guys only exist to buff the Dark Apostle. They don't have the character keyword, but it doesn't mean you can target them because they have this rule. Followers. Only 1 unit of Dark Disciples can be included in your army for each Dark Apostle in your army. Dark Disciple units do not take up slots in a detachment that includes Legion Dark Apostles. When this unit is within 2 inches of a friendly Legion Dark Apostle, enemy models can't shoot it if it's the closest enemy unit. Ignore characters with runes characteristics of less than 10 when determining if this unit is the closest enemy unit to the firing model. Basically, 10 points, 2 Dark Apostles with each 2 Dark Disciples with each Dark Apostle that you have. And you can't shoot them. They basically get exactly the same as the character keyword unless the Dark Apostle dies. When the Dark Apostle dies, you can light up these guys. They have Relics of Corruption. While any Legion Dark Disciple units are within 2 inches of your Dark Apostle, add 1 to dice rolls to see if a prayer chanted by the Dark Apostle is heard. You can't improve that prayer roll to above a 2 up because it says while any Legion Dark Disciple units are within 2 inches of a friendly Legion Dark Apostle. You could have 28 Legion Dark Disciples running around after your Dark Apostle, but you only add 1 to the dice rolls. It doesn't matter how many Dark Disciples you have, while any Legion Dark Disciple units are within range of your Dark Apostle. So those prayers with some Dark Disciples for 10 points go off on a 2. So a Dark Apostle and 2 Dark Disciples, 110 points. And you're re-rolling hit rolls in the fight phase on a 2 up, so long as they're close to your Dark Apostle. The other 6 prayers, remember you can pick one of these, so he knows 2. The other 6 prayers are Benediction of Darkness. If this prayer is heard, pick 1 friendly Legion unit within 6 inches of the priest. Subtract 1 from hit rolls made for attacks with ranged weapons that target that unit. So all you need is a Legion keyword. You can leave a Dark Apostle at the back of the board next to your tanks or next to your shooty stuff, and suddenly they're -1 to hit. Hit rolls for attacks with ranged weapons. Nice. 2. Litany of Despair. If this prayer is heard, your opponent rolls 2d6, discarding the lowest result each time they take a morale test for a unit that's within 6 inches of the priest. 3. Omen of Potency. If this prayer is heard, add 3 to this priest's attacks characteristics. In addition, if this prayer is heard, the priest's melee weapons have an armor penetration characteristics of -4. So Omen of Potency gets your priest a bit more punchy. Litany of Despair means the enemy is more likely to fail morale tests. Those are 2 of the weakest ones. But Benediction of Darkness, suddenly -1 to hit to 1 friendly Legion unit within 6 inches of the priest. That's pretty tasty. The other ones are pretty good as well. 4. Warp-Sighted Plea. If this prayer is heard, pick 1 friendly Legion unit within 6 inches of the priest and add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with ranged weapons by models in that unit. +1 to hit with ranged weapons. Sticking that on a Havoc Squad or a Leviathan Hellform, Leviathan Dreadnought, or any Legion, any unit with a Legion keyword, anything really shooty. I'm sure there's people out there already thinking, oh, +1 to hit with my shooty things. Well, that's what it does. You pick a unit within 6 inches. I like it. And what you could do is have 2 Dark Apostles nearby, so putting a Benediction of Darkness on that Legion unit, so it's -1 to hit when the enemy shoots back, and putting a Warp-Sighted Plea on it, so it's +1 to hit when you shoot. 5. Soul Terror Portent. If this prayer is heard, pick one friendly Legion unit within 6 inches of the priest. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by models in that unit. Huge unit of Khorne Berserkers attacking a Knight, Imperial Knight. No need to put veterans on the long war on them for them to wound that Knight on 2s. All you need to do is have a priest nearby and get the Soul Terror Portent prayer off. And 6. Illusory Supplication. If this prayer is heard, friendly Legion models have a 5+ invulnerable save while they're within 6 inches of the priest. In addition, you can give your Dark Apostle marks. And so there's a Mark of Khorne, Mark of Tzeentch, Mark of Nurgle, and Mark of Slaanesh, and there are 4 specific prayers. The Khorne, so if you've got a Mark of Khorne, you can do Wrathful Entreaty for a Khorne priest. If this prayer is heard, add 2 to the priest's strengths characteristics. That's just the priest. Mutating Invocation for the Tzeentch priest. If this prayer is heard, the priest regains D3 wounds. Feculent Beseechment, Nurgle priest. If this prayer is heard, add 2 to the priest's toughness characteristics, getting him up to toughness 6. And Slaanesh, Blessful Devotion. If this prayer is heard, the priest can advance and charge in their turn in this battle round. The last brand new unit in this book is the Noctilith Crown. It's a fortification. It's toughness 8 with 14 wounds and a 3-up save. It's only 100 points. What do you get for your 100 points for this 14 wound model that doesn't degrade? Well, Malevolent Locus. Psychers attempting to manifest powers within 24 inches of this model will suffer perils of the warp on any doubles result rolled for the psychic test rather than only double 1 or double 6. Chaos Psychers are not affected by this ability. It's a nice 24-inch range there. Eldar players will not like this. Loathsome Aura. Chaos units have a 5-up invulnerable save while they're wholly within 6 inches of this model. In addition, you can reroll psychic tests for Chaos Psychers while they are within 6 inches of this model. At the start of the second and third battle rounds, the range of both of these aura abilities is increased by 3, i.e. it's 9 inches in the second battle round, 12 inches in the third and subsequent battle round. So that's a 5-up invulnerable save with a 6-inch aura in turn 1, and then a 9-inch, then a 12-inch for just 100 points. It has got a toughness 8 of 14 wounds with a 3-up save. You can blow it up, but you could take multiple Noctilith Crowns. It's immobile and it has unstable energies. If this model is reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 before removing it, and on a 6, each unit within d6 inches of this model suffers d6 mortal wounds. So yes, you're close to it for your 5-up invulnerable save, but on a 6 it blows up and it does d6 mortal wounds, which is quite nasty. It does have a shooting attack as well. It's a pistol, d6, it hits on a 4, strength 7 minus 2, 2 damage. So if you do get in close combat with it, it can shoot that pistol in the shooting phase. Strength 7 minus 2, 2 damage, d6 shots. So yeah, it's basically a buffer. It gives you invulnerable saves, and it makes enemy psychers suffer perils of the warp on any doubles rolls. Now that's it for all the brand new units in this book. The units from Shadow Spear are in here as well. The Greater Possessed, the Venom Crawlers with all the points that they have, and the new Obliterators, the toughness 5 4 wound Obliterators. But in here, the points are 65 points. In Shadow Spear, they were 115 points. In this book, 65 points. So I guess Chaos Space Marines can take Obliterators for only 65 points, unless we're going to see a quick, fast FAQ on that one. That 65 points does include the cost for flesh metal guns, which is interesting. Have DW made a classic mistake? Or are they 65 points? Or are they 115 points? For now, they're 65 points. You take the points values and the data sheets from the newest publication, and this is the newest publication, so they're not 115 anymore. If they have made a mistake, we're going to see a FAQ pretty soon. Quick edit, I just realised that Havocs have a new rule. Havocs, those are the heavy weapon squads. Stabilization Talons. This unit can move and fire heavy weapons without suffering the penalty to their hit rolls, which is epic. And they have a new gun called a Reaper Chain Cannon, which is 20 points. And for 20 points, you get a 24-inch range, 8-shot heavy bolter, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage. 24-inch range, 8-shot heavy bolter. Now, imagine 4 of these guys in a Havoc squad. It's only 24-inch range, so chuck them in a Rhino. That's 32 shots they move for, where they jump out of the Rhino, 32 shots with prescience, hitting on 2s. Say wounding on 2s with veterans of the Long War. They're deleting squads of infantry just by looking in their general direction. 32 shots from 4 models. That's embarrassing level. That's Tau levels of shooting. I like it. That's it for this review. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you Games Workshop for sending it through to me. If you're interested in any more Winters SEO videos and talks and battle reports and narrative campaigns and all sorts of gubbins, please consider joining us in the Deployment Zone at www.deploymentzone.tv. We really appreciate the support, everyone who's joined us so far. Thank you. It helps us create videos like this. Thank you very much. Happy wargaming.